I now call this meeting of Amateur Detective Club to order. My name Tristan Miller, Saucy Sleuth.
I am Melissa Meli, spy.
I'm Tyler Riley, cop and a half.
Bad yes-ander. Today's show...
Oh,
What are you talking about? There's always an American.
That's true. Today's show is brought to you got it, Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free 30-day trial membership, and you get a free book. Go to audibletrial.com/adcpod and browse the unmatched selections of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/adcpod. I recommend the book version of the episode we're watching. We have not covered it yet because we stopped covering books because they're just too long. Too long.
but not forever. We'll read a book again, we promise.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we listened to Woman in White, so like we did cover a book recently.
The Woman in White.
The Woman in White.
Thank you. But what is the full title? Is it a Very Merry Poirot Christmas? What is Very Merry?
Isn't it just a Poirot Christmas?
Hercule
Isn't it literally just that it?
Poirot's Christmas.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Have a holly jolly, have a holly Poirot Christmas.
Yeah.
Certainly an unpoiromatic
Oh,
title.
yeah, I got it. Yeah. It is the best time of the year.
How many of Poirot's Christmases have been ruined by crime?
How many of my Christmases have been ruined by crime?
I don't know.
Oh, I guess we're going to go around in a circle. Starting with Poirot. Poirot, how many?
Well, for me, it is almost every Christmas, but more is my concern the terrible gifts that my friends give me. This upsets Poirot more than anything else. Tyler?
I would say 0 Christmases have been ruined by crime.
Melissa?
I only benefit from the crime I commit on Christmas.
Heck yeah.
I like that.
Yes. My Christmases have been untouched by crime. Oh, wait, no, that's not true.
Oh, really?
Oh, my.
Well, when I was a kid, we lived in a different place than we live now. Now that I'm an adult and don't live with my parents, I guess that's an understatement. No, we moved a couple times when I was a kid. So the first apartment that we lived in, after my parents moved into like their own place, my mom's car got broken into after she had bought Christmas presents.
Oh.
Yeah. And
The perfect crime.
yeah, she was like driving me to school when she like looked in the trunk, and my mom started sobbing because all the Christmas presents had been stolen.
Did they leave a lump of coal?
Can you imagine the cheek of the thief who would have done that? We were very lucky, and I think we were okay enough that I'm pretty sure that they were able to replace a lot of it, or got help replacing. I was very young at the time. I don't know. So it like didn't really impact me that much, but my poor mom.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But Tristan was asking about the coal because I used to sign my crimes.
Oh.
It's his villainish calling card.
My coaling card, if you will.
Oh.
Colon card is something else.
Yeah, Tyler, I somehow don't think this one was you.
Yeah.
Fair.
The only
For
crime
many reasons.
The only crime that has affected me during Christmas is the crime of the liberal media trying to force out the Christ from Christmas.
I love it
They're
when
making the frogs gay.
Yes, of course. I love it when people aggressively say Merry Christmas to you when you say Happy Holidays. Like,
Oh.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. I don't think that's the spirit of the season,
Okay.
my guy. But thank you so much for your concern. So this episode starts out with the grumpy old man, right? Or does it start out?
No, we're in South Africa.
Oh, right. I forgot about the fact that it starts out in South Africa and the blood diamonds.
In the midst of a lover's quarrel.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Between these two gentlemen that have discovered these diamonds.
Yeah. Deeply sexual energy between these two men.
Yeah. They have been away from women for quite some months, and they got to looking at each other in a certain kind of way.
Why can't I quit you?
Yep. That's right. Yeah. One of them tries to shoot the other, and the other one stabs him back, kills him. Because they have
the diamonds.
Yeah, they've found some diamonds.
And his dying words were, Simeon, why won't you leave me be?
Yeah,
because the guy who kills him, his name is Simeon Lee.
Yeah. And then Simeon Lee wakes up after a few days of being unconscious from blood loss, probably.
And probably dehydration.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. And
I'm sorry, he's passed out for 2 days for being too gay.
what?
It just doesn't make
Not
any sense.
dehydration from pure boning, but like he's in the desert.
He's bone dry, I'll tell you what.
New meaning to the word thirsty.
Yes, there it is. There it is. You love to see it, folks. You love to see a horny pun.
You do.
Who are we,
speaking
Craig
of
Ferguson?
Speaking of horny, he wakes up in. I made Tristan choke.
No.
He was drinking coffee when I said that, and he thought I was funny for once.
That's not true.
I know. I don't know why I said that.
No, I thought you were funny this time. But like...
So he wakes up in the bedroom.
Yeah.
The hospital, I thought.
No, it's like
it's the lady's like, boudoir.
A lady rescued him and nursed him back to health. You know, the whole thing. And she's never been married, and he, takes a liking to her, and vice versa, and they have a thing. And basically, as soon as he's healthy, he leaves in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be noted, because it becomes a thing that helps the plot along. That she has a birthmark on her face.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to ask about that, because I didn't know if it was like rosacea or if it was just a birthmark.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like in that, was it an O. Henry story or something? There was a short story I remember reading when I was a kid, that when I was like in high school, where this woman has a birthmark on her face, and it's like her husband is like, it's the only it's the only imperfection you have, and then they have it removed and she dies or something. I don't remember.
Oh.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, her husband sounds gross.
Oh yeah, he sucked.
She has it removed, and then she gives it to him, and then he's like, I had my skin removed. It's a gift of the Magi situation.
Oh, gosh.
With two skeletons.
But I did see a Grey's Anatomy episode of a similar thing where this teenage kid has a bunch of like tumors like in his face, so it makes his face look
tumor.
Okay. But it makes like his face look disfigured, and he was like, I just want these removed. Like, and for whatever reason, like it was some like really delicate surgery and he doesn't make it. And you see like him post-surgery because they were able to remove it all, but like he doesn't get the benefit of what that life was. So that reminds me, not of this Poirot, but to the short story that Melissa.
Yeah,
Dramatic irony.
I have to. Yeah, exactly. I have to remember what this short story is because I don't. I am sure I'm getting some very significant plot detail wrong, or the author.
Yeah.
But
Hey everybody, this is Tristan Miller, the saucy sleuth. The short story to which Melissa is referring is called The Birthmark by Nathaniel Hawthorne. The Birthmark is about a scientist, Miller, who is obsessed with removing the blemish from his wife's cheek, a fine example of Hawthorne's contribution to the genre of dark romanticism. It was published in 1843, 7 years before The Scarlet Letter. Let's get back to the show.
anyway, so this woman has a birthmark, and she wakes up and she finds that Simeon Lee has gone after, you know, she helped him out so much, the bastard. And so we flash forward many years. And there is a grumpy old rich guy.
In a wheelchair.
And a big robe. And his big house. And he calls up Poirot and says, hey, come here for Christmas.
I want to say something, because there's a scene before this.
Yes, there is.
Because he and Jap are walking down the street, and Jap gives Poirot a Christmas present, and Poirot does not have anything for him. And they're talking about what they're doing for the holidays, and Poirot is like, I'm just going to sit at home and eat some chocolates, as is my wont.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what about you, Chief Inspector? And he's like, I'm not looking forward to this at all. And he's like, why? I'm going to Mrs. Jap's in Wales. And they sing. And he's like, okay, well, have fun with that. Goodbye. And then he goes home, and his heating's out.
Oh, wait. But Jap, before he departs his company, hands Poirot a gift.
Yeah, a little package.
Yes.
And then Poirot goes home, and his heating is out. He calls up the landlord, and the landlord's like, not till after Christmas, because screw you.
Yeah, because we don't work on Christmas. Sorry, it's a dire.
I worked on Christmas.
Yeah, so then this is right after this phone call with his landlord. He gets this call from Simeon Lee, and he kind of resents the presumptiveness with which Simeon Lee is asking him to come to his estate for Christmas. But eventually Poirot says, do you have central heating? And Simeon Lee says, of course I have central heating.
You nut.
Like, okay, I will come.
Yeah, and he was recommended to show up by the
Superintendent,
yes.
Of the local police force, and
who was super intent on having Poirot come for Christmas.
Very nice. My wife. And then Poirot's like, why do you want me there? He's like, my life is in danger. And thus the plot begins.
Yeah, and I believe it's at this point where we see the old man being visited by
three ghosts.
That is on brand for this episode.
Yeah, yeah.
But he gets visited by this South African mining company with this lockbox. In it are the uncut diamonds that we had seen in the opening.
Yes, and you know how I feel about uncut gems.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I try to block that out.
I know you do. You're wrong to do it.
Agree to disagree.
Nope.
Well, then you're wrong.
I have no desire to see that movie.
It's so stressful, but it's a good film. But anyhow,
yep.
Then we're on a train, right?
We're on a train.
Yes.
We get, oh gosh, it made me really want to go on a train for Christmas. Like a good train. Not like Long Island Railroad.
Not one of those bad trains.
That's right.
What about the F, the holiday F? When they break out that train from like the 40s, and by train from the 40s, I mean the train that they run any other day. And
Right.
they just put a reef on the front.
I want to be on a train for the holidays that's decorated with garland where they serve me soup. Like, you know, like Poirot was on.
Yeah. I'm sorry, when you said garlands, it's just like a bunch of pictures of Jeff Garland just like hanging around.
Yep, that's exactly what I meant.
Ugh. Man, I'm funny.
It's how,
Jeff is your go-to.
it's how I, yeah, not Judy.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff Garland.
Jeff,
Famed.
Jeff Garland, the most famous Garland.
I mean, he's the most living Garland.
I don't even know who Jeff Garland is.
You don't know? Okay, he's on
No.
Curb. He's on the Goldbergs. He's a stand-up comedian. He's
Okay.
very good, very funny.
You
Okay.
know him. You just
Yeah.
don't
Know his
you
name.
saw him.
Yeah. Right.
But they're on this train, and there's a bunch of people on the train. And take it away, because I don't remember them.
So we meet this young woman named Pilar, and she is being chatted up by a man probably in his late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
And, you know, she is Spanish. She is from Spain. And he's getting all flirty and asking her, you know, where she's going. And she says, I'm going to my grandfather, Simeon Lee's house. And he's like, oh, really? Coincidence? Because that's my dad. I guess we're both going there. So, and he doesn't really stop flirting with her. So that's fun. After learning she's his niece.
Well, I mean, certain families of certain classes tend to
Yeah.
do that, from what I've experienced by watching White House interviews.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. So, yeah, but the story that we're getting basically is that Simeon Lee had just all these children. Pilar's mother, Jennifer, is deceased. But he's got 3 quote unquote legitimate boys that are all coming to the house for Christmas. And other than Harry, George and what's the other one? Alfred? Is that
Yes.
the guy?
Yeah, George and Alfred. I think we were looking for the wife's name, and I was like, oh gosh, don't ask me that.
No, George and Alfred, the sons, are both married. George's wife is Magdalene, I believe. And
Yeah, Magdalena.
Magdalena. And Alfred's wife is Lydia. So they're all congregating at the house for Christmas. And then, you know, everyone arrives there.
And there's this butler named Tristillian.
That's true, yes.
He looks like Anthony Hopkins. But like, what a name, folks.
I'm looking
What a name.
at the IMDb. It is spelled Tressillian.
Yeah, Trissellian, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Tristillian.
Tristillion.
Tristillion.
But yeah, they all congregate here. The superintendent is there, and then he's like, well, I'll let you get to family business. I'm off. It's like, okay. And then Simeon Lee calls everybody into the room, and Poirot is there.
It becomes pretty clear that Simeon Lee has invited his family there to piss them off.
Yeah.
A
He
common
just yells at him.
a common theme in murder mystery, the murder mystery genre. It's like, I am the old patriarch of this family, and I'm a terrible person, and I am going to congregate everyone I am related to make them very mad about how I decide to disseminate my money.
2 things.
Yes.
1, My parents watched this episode, and my dad was doing an impression of him the entire episode, just yelling for fun. And then also, does the scene with Pilar come before this, where Simeon is actively flirting with her as well?
Oh, yeah.
And is being nasty.
And in another preceding scene, Lydia and Magdalena also talk about how inappropriate he is with them as well when they're alone.
Yes,
to their respective husbands.
Here's my dad yelling.
Prefer to stand? Prefer to stand? You say you prefer to stand?
There it is.
I love that.
Is that your new ringtone?
I haven't thought about a ringtone. So the next scene.
Okay.
I'm on Do Not Disturb constantly.
That sounds right.
So the next scene is when the murder happens. Everyone's just chilling in different parts of the house.
So
right?
what he tells them when he congregates
right.
all of them together is basically, Pilar and Harry are going to come live here now, and so I'm going to have to give them some of the money that I've been giving you. Sorry about it. Not sorry about it.
As they're entering the room, he's on the phone with his solicitor and loudly talks about his need of drafting a new will.
Yeah. It's been a bit since he's made a will. So everybody has dinner, and then they all, go to their respective after dinner corners of the house to do whatever. And then we hear a scream, and a lot of things fall. And it turns out the old man, Simeon Lee, is dead. His throat has been slit. And there is a remarkable amount of stuff that has fallen all over the place.
Yeah.
In the course of this murder.
Yes.
Note about the scream for those who have not yet watched the episode. I will just say it is unlike anything you have ever heard.
Let's try it.
Or I hope you have never heard this sound before.
It's like a...
Oh, God.
It's very Deliverance.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have a pretty mouth. Anyway.
I'm so sorry, everyone who's listening.
Know what it sounds like.
I'm sorry for me, too, that had to hear that with my ears on headphones. Oh, God.
So then the superintendent shows up, and he's like, what's all the hooboob? And there's been a murder. Runs upstairs, and he's like, everybody out. Don't touch anything.
Yes, because he forgot his book,
Yes.
quote unquote, from earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had a book with him and left it behind. Very careless.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Poirot's there.
And he's like, I guess I'm here because I need to investigate this guy's murder.
Yep.
Glad it has heating.
And then during the course of them like picking around the crime scene, Pilar picks up something, and it's like, you can't just, the superintendent is like, you can't just do that.
Yeah.
Give that to me. And it's a little wooden peg and like a little rubber band.
Yeah. Pink rubber band kind of deal.
Yep.
So Poirot, as he is wont to do, investigates. He starts asking everybody questions.
What is your favorite ice cream?
Yes. What is your favorite flavor? So he also calls up his good buddy, Inspector Japp. Just Japp. Ah.
What their sandwiches like? It's a nice tidy end to the whole business.
In the best scene, Emily Japp's family singing their hearts out, singing Christmas carols, and it just pans over to James, sitting there with the most like placid yet upset face. Our boy Phil Jackson, so good in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's excellent in it.
And Poirot shows up and he's like, Poirot, why are you here? And he's like, to rescue you. The superintendent was going to call Scotland Yard anyway. And he's like, you're just across the border. So we just, figured I'd come get you.
Yep.
And there's a beautiful scene there. They say that as they're in like a carriage or a car, rather.
Yeah.
A motor car. And there's this beat afterwards where like Jap is like, oh, we're friends. They love each other so much.
It's
and
really sweet.
I love it so much. It warms my heart.
They really do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Just guys being
immediately
dudes.
succeeding the scene, as we have seen once or twice before this point, we get shots of this old woman with a birthmark on her face at some inn, seemingly close by.
Mm-hmm. And we also, by the way, get a lot of Christmas hymns being sung.
Mm-hmm.
And it is kind of nice.
Christmas hymns.
Hardly knows hymns.
Yep.
I
You
hardly
got
knows
it.
hymns. I'm Jewish.
Uh-huh.
But we've talked at nauseum about our love of Christmas and our favorite Christmas hymns before.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Christmas pudding episode, I believe.
Yes. So what's your favorite Christmas snack?
Probably sausage rolls or mince pies.
I said a snack?
Yeah.
A sweet.
Well,
A sweetie.
I said what I said. You don't get to define what a snack is for me, sir.
Okay, well, what's your favorite Christmas sweet then?
A mince pie.
All right.
I have a soft spot for sugar cookies because I used to make them with my mother. But I love so many Christmas foods. Yeah.
Toffee, always good. My mother makes homemade caramels every year,
Oh.
along with fudge, and she makes the toffee as well. We make mint chocolate brownies, which are always good. But those I know aren't like standard for Christmas.
I like that.
The
Yeah,
toffees
really
are my
nice.
favorite.
that is really nice.
Yeah.
Aw.
So they go back to the estate and they investigate stuff and they find out some stuff.
Yeah, so they're talking to... There's actually a very funny scene with George and Magdalena where they ask her a question that she clearly has not formulated an answer to. And she throws like this dramatic fit and leaves the room.
Yep.
And George
Yep.
says, my wife is very sensitive. I'm going to have a talk with Scotland Yard about their bullying tactics. And he's basically
tell you-
just asked one question.
Yeah. Once again, Phil Jackson crushing in that scene. Because he goes, I don't think I like your tone, Chief Inspector. And he goes, well, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He's stone cold. It's
Yeah.
so good. And then we also find out that who's the lady that makes miniature gardens?
Lydia.
Yeah.
Lydia, the tattoo lady. She makes miniature gardens. She has a Italian one and a Japanese one and another one. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, the Japanese one is weird because it's a bunch of rocks. And I'm like, that's not that weird.
Yeah. You
Y'all
know.
are racist.
Oh yeah, there's a couple choice moments in this with the, oh, you two should get along because you're both foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, they talked to Pilar,
Yeah.
who was like, I was in my room at the time of the murder doing my makeup. And she's like, I didn't mind how creepy Simeon was, because he probably was handsome, and she points to the superintendent like, kind of like you. And he's like, oh, well, I gotta leave.
Yes. Yeah, basically. Yeah, so we're getting an idea of the family. We do find out that the will has not been updated in quite some time, and when they're sitting
10
around 10 years, they're sitting around reading the will, and Pilar is not on it.
No, because her mother was on it, and then they're like, wouldn't she get her mom's stuff? And he's like, no, because that's not in the will.
Yeah, it's not how any of this works. And George and Magdalena are kind of jerks, and they're like, yeah, no, sorry, that's just how it is. Oh well, bye-bye. Whereas Lydia especially and her husband Alfred are much more charitable and are like, we'll give you some money, dear. And
we find out why Pilar is so wild about Harry.
yes, exactly.
He stands up for her too.
He does. And she kind of Pilar gets upset and refuses the money and leaves the room. And then we hear her scream as she is beaten about the head.
Yeah. And a couple of other notes about the investigation. Poirot and Jap go to a pub where they meet with, is it Harry?
Yes, it's Harry.
Who is like deeply suspicious.
Yeah, he really is.
They start asking him questions. And then he's like, oh, well, I better go back over to my friends at this pub. And
The pub is very charming.
Yes.
And it's really cute because Poirot, Jap offers to buy Poirot a drink. And he says, I will have a dry white wine. And Jap orders a cider, which is all very charming. And when you see Poirot get his glass, because they're at a pub, like, it's not a really good place to order wine, generally.
No.
And he's like, looks at his wine, which is a color that most white wine is not. And he sniffs it kind of unimpressed. It's cute.
Yeah.
It's cute, though. It made me nostalgic. Made me want, like, a, hot cider or something.
I can't get behind the cider.
No?
Don't like apple juice. I don't like cider.
Oh, I drank apple juice when I was a kid and would have warm apple juice before bed until I was like, I loved it.
Nasty stuff. Orange juice.
Orange juice is fine, but...
You ever have Orangina?
Yeah, absolutely.
Luxury.
I mean, I had it a couple times.
There's also a sequence where Magdalena comes to Poirot at a coffee shop and is like, let me tell you what the situation was. I was phoning up. I like a man back in the city, and I was phoning him up, and I didn't want my husband to know, which is why I rushed out.
Yeah, which is understandable because her husband's a jerk.
Yeah. He's also a member of parliament, so I understand why she'd stay with him.
Yeah. One of those.
Yeah. Yeah, truly an Amy March situation. And
it's
then
parliament to be.
Yep. That's right.
Come on, man. Very good. You're doing it this episode, Tyler. You're crushing it.
I try.
And then also throughout this whole thing, Poirot is trying to find Jap a gift because he did not think to do that before.
Yeah, and he goes to a joke shop.
Well, he goes to the joke shop after he opens Jap's gift on Christmas morn.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No, that's before.
But before we even get to that, after Pilar's attack, Poirot searches her room and finds something in her passport.
Yes.
He moves on, then opens the gift, and it's these ugly knitted gloves.
No.
Yes.
Beautiful.
They're
Urban
hand-
Okay,
Outfitter looking.
Absolutely not.
Ah, too cute.
And it
Love
looked
knitwear.
worn. Like it wasn't even like they weren't clean.
they were like an oatmeal color, perhaps.
Yep.
And
Cream.
so and they're clearly hand knit and took much lots of care was put into them.
Yes. And also during the course of the investigation, they find the uncut gems in the Japanese garden.
Yes, they do.
And Lydia's like, why would I put them out in the open? So it's clearly not me. And then they also find the empty box in
Magdalena's luggage.
Thank you. And then Poirot says something. So Lydia says, I hope it's a stranger. And he goes, what if it's a stranger, but also a member of the family? And they're like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, I'm not sure. And it's like, okay.
Yeah,
Also at the
one lady
pub.
doing math.
Yeah, exactly.
Also at the pub, the old lady with the birthmark is there.
She's just everywhere.
And she
She
also
is.
pops up in a preceding scene, and we didn't get to talk about it. It's really short, but like you see the mortuary, like you see like the sign for the mortuary, and you see like these heels like walking across the floor, and this woman all in black and like this black hat and veil, and she slowly rolls the veil up to reveal her face, and it's the old woman with the birthmark, and I was like, oh, that's so wonderfully shot,
Yeah.
and her expression is just so wonderful.
Yeah.
She is so happy he did.
Oh, so happy. Oh, so happy. By the way, I don't think we mentioned Pilar is fine.
Yeah, she's woken up.
Yeah, she got hit in the head real good, but she's gonna be okay. And I think it's around this point when Poirot goes to her, and the whole family is around her bedside, basically. And she's like,
Yeah,
so
Poirot
You were
gathers them
there.
all.
yeah,
And you were there.
yes,
And you.
yes, and she's like, so here's the thing, I'm not Pilar. Pilar is dead, which is pretty alarming. But she's like,
Alarming.
yeah. but I decided, why should her identity go to waste? So I took it.
Which is like, what a thing.
Yeah, essentially. And
Oh my gosh.
it turns out she was Pilar's assistant or maid or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she just took on her identity. And she's
As
like,
you do.
she's like, I felt okay about it until you guys started offering me money, and then it was awkward, and that's why I refused it. So sorry about it, but that's what happened. And yeah, Pilar is not really my name, but we're gonna keep calling me Pilar because don't remember what my name actually is. So
Sure.
yeah. And Harry, meanwhile, is like, oh, so she's not my niece.
Oh,
Great.
fantastic. I love this. This is great for me personally.
Yeah.
Don't know why he's Australian.
Don't know, but yes, essentially that's his reaction. It is not subtle. It's great.
No. There's a certain kind of silhouette that occurs in the scene when he finds out that news.
Oh goodness.
This episode is rated T for teen for suggestive dialogue.
Seriously.
And then is it the everyone gets to know what's going on?
Pretty close. Do we want to
Is there
take
anything? Yeah.
Do you want to take a break?
Rest ye merry gentlemen, make nothing you dismay, because we're on a podcast network, and let me say, it's really good, and you should listen to all the stuff they've got, because I can't think of a rhyme. Oh, I can't think of a rhyme. Scavenging Network. That's what they're called. Check out all their great content. End of thought, end of sentence. I'm lazy today.
It's actually Halloween week when this comes out.
We've talked about it. I don't get Halloween. I don't understand Halloween. I prefer Christmas, and that is where my heart is.
Listen, I love Christmas too, but I also love Halloween. And it's very much like Christmas, except with way more death, probably. And like spooky ghosts.
There's spooky ghosts in Christmas time too.
That's true. See, it's similar. That's why it's fun. And people dress up more. And I like that about it also. But they're both magical and you can put out lights. Big
fan. You can also get merch.
Yeah.
Go to teespring.com/themill with hyphens in between. Links in the show notes. There's a couple great things there.
And I'm holding up my mug, but you can't see it because this is an audio medium.
I also am holding up my mug.
You can follow us on social media at ADC Pod across Twitter, across Facebook, and Instagram. And why don't you rate our show 5 stars and give us a nice review and subscribe to the show. These things really help us out, helps get us up those charts, get us visible so people will watch us.
Yeah.
Or listen to us, as the case may be.
I love the why don't you. If you haven't left us a review and a rating, I need you to DM us the reason why.
No, don't. Well, be nice.
Well, okay, DM me.
DM Tristan. I am too fragile to take criticism. We're not popular enough for hate yet.
Wow.
No, bring the vitriol. I got some terrible takes. Come on, come at me.
No, here's the thing. You can, I will be able to handle mean people when we have better. When we have like,
when you're getting paid for it.
Yeah. That's right.
But on that note, Melissa, I would like to take the time to acknowledge our friends in Sweden.
Yes.
We love you, Sweden. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And yeah, I could use some help on this next bit, y'all. Can you give me a P?
P.
Give me an A.
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 Give me a T.
T.
I.
Give me an R.
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 Give me an E.
E.
Give me an O.
O.
Give me an N.
N.
Give me a period.
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 Give me a C.
C.
Give me an O.
O.
Oh.
Give me an M.
M.
Patreon.com. You know how to spell it? Enter it into your nearest browser and find out how you can help support your favorite after show podcast. At least your 30th one, Sweden. So for as little as $1 a month, you can receive bonus access, episodes, and content. We have covered Murder, She Wrote. We have covered WWE. We have covered films even on our Patreon. And for $10 a month, you can even place an ad for yourself or a business during the show.
Oh, right.
And I believe we have a patron who subscribes for $10 a month.
Me too.
Rich Gilberto. Is that how you say his last name?
Yep. Gilberto. Mm-hmm.
Gilberto Gottfried. As required by law, I am also morally obligated to say once a week. But soup?
Oh, I thought you teased me a little bit. I thought we were getting the Gilbert Godfrey butt soup impression this week.
Butt soup!
Yes!
There we go. 2 for 1.
And finally, who done it? Another mysterious event, several new suspicious characters, and numerous rumors set the stage for an enticing investigation that is dripping with drama. You can enroll your students, grades 3 through 5 or grades 6 through 8, to join McCarter Theater Center in Princeton for an on-live theatrical experience, which includes a final interactive performance for friends and family. Visit mccarter.org for more information about this creative drama class for grades 3 through 5 and grades 6 through 8, starting this week, October 24th.
Well, if we're just doing other stuff that's not related to the show, I have another podcast called Positive and Negative.
Mysteries weren't involved in the show.
I have another podcast called Positive and Negative you two have been on, as has Travis McElroy. So if you enjoyed our Travis McElroy episode, or Melissa and Tyler, you can go listen to that. Positive and Negative. It's about mental health in the arts. Should say that first.
Mm-hmm. I don't have anything to plug at the moment. I'll come up with something.
Okay.
But not in this episode.
Oh, okay.
Back to the show!
And we're back.
So Poirot does go to this joke shop, and he says he's looking for a gift for a friend, a Christmas gift for a
Because he
friend.
thought the gift was a gag, because those gloves are ugly.
Yeah. Something like that. So he's looking for a gift, and well,
I want point of order. This
Okay.
is before he opens the gift. I'm sorry. I can't let this lie.
I don't think that's true.
I know it to be true because he hasn't opened it, because what he gets, Jap, is an expensive gift.
a box of cigars, right?
Yes. He gets him a nice set of, I believe, Cuban cigars.
No, Jamaican from the joke shop.
Yeah, I know, but they're not exploding. Because he asks, and he's like, no, this is just like, it's not just a joke shop.
Okay.
Okay.
They just have they do have a lot of joke stuff though. So we get framed up on a shot of a false mustache and the most upsetting gag gift or whatever that I've ever seen, probably, which is a balloon that makes the sound of a pig screaming when they die. I'm so sorry. Yes. He makes his purchase and gets out of there. So at a certain point before the attack on who we thought to be Pilar, there was a moment where she and Harry were like blowing up some balloons, and one of them bursts, and it's a yellow balloon, and there's like the end of the balloon, you know, where you tie it up. And she sees that, and she's like, oh, this is just like what I found in at the murder scene. And Poirot's like, huh, interesting. So all of these pieces of evidence put together, Poirot has come to a realization.
May I say something?
Please do.
And this is petty.
Okay.
But I just opened up the episode.
Uh-huh.
And I'm right.
Okay, great.
That's it.
Okay. So Poirot assembles everyone. And how does he start out? Does he start out talking about the family, or?
Yes. He's
Okay.
like, everyone here could have had a motive.
Right.
And he goes through all the motives, and he goes, but I don't think that's the case, because there's this great exchange where Jap goes, well, what's going on? Just who did the murder? Because he explains the whole murder, and he goes, Chief Inspector always keeps me on task, and then it cuts back to
yeah.
Jap, and his eyebrows are raised like, yeah.
That's
it's
right.
really funny.
Yeah, it's cute.
But basically Poirot says, well, the murder was done much before we all heard the noise. Then all this stuff was stacked on top of each other.
Oh my goodness.
The terrible noisemaker, non-traditional Christmas noisemaker, broke through the window, and it was pulled, and it was all rigged, but he was much dead beforehand, and the door was locked from the outside using a pair of needle-nose pliers.
This whole thing was rigged like the game Mousetrap, but like weirder. It was a whole elaborate, meant to, as soon as the thing got pulled, everything was going to come crashing down on everything. There was a brief moment in the investigation where they were like, could it have been a suicide? And Poirot was like, and before he did it, he trounced around the room and knocked everything over before he killed himself. What? No.
And then he screamed.
And cut his own throat. Seems unlikely.
Yeah.
Right. So he was dead way before, and he was this whole thing was set up so it would look like and sound like he died later. So this pig slaughter balloon was burst when this whole, catastrophe of a
Rube
setup
Goldberg of a murder.
Yeah. gets knocked over.
And then Jap is like, well, who's the murderer? And he's like, well, let me take you on a little journey. And then they go to the pub.
They all put on their elaborate coats and go to the pub. And then they talk about and to the superintendent, who he says, I have realized that the men in the family all bear a striking resemblance. And there's been this portrait of Simeon Lee lording above everyone the entire time. And he has, of course, also realized that he was very unfaithful to his wives?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's boasted about how many children he had out of wedlock.
Yeah, something like that. And so he realizes, what if it was one of them? And so he takes the false mustache purchased at the joke shop and puts it on the painting.
He does. And also, earlier there's a scene with Pilar and what's his name, Harry, and when he purchases it, and he's like, "Ooh, it must be a Christmas present," and then she's like, "It's a false mustache," and Harry says, "I knew that thing that on his face couldn't be real."
Oh yeah, that's right.
Funny.
Yeah. So he takes the mustache and puts it on the portrait of Simeon Lee, and he's like, just like the inspector, as Pilar had pointed out, saying, he would have been handsome when he was younger, like you.
Yeah.
And indeed, he is the illegitimate son of Simeon Lee and Stella, who is the woman with the birthmark.
Mm-hmm. And they're both there.
They're both there. And she says, good job, son.
Not only that, he goes over to her, puts his head in her lap, and she pets him like a cat.
So weird.
It was really weird. And then he gets arrested.
Because he was the one who set up the whole thing, because his old dad was a jerk. And he wreaked his vengeance and the vengeance of his mother upon him.
And then Poirot and Jap go home.
Yes.
And Poirot opens again his gift in front of Jap and goes, "Thank you very much." And he hands Jap the cigars, and he's like, "Oh wow, how lovely." And then it comes out that Emily, Jap's wife, knit those herself. And then he's like, oh, that's very sweet. And he's like, oh, you're going to put them on now? And he's like, no, only for the best occasions. When I go to church,
Yep.
I'll wear these gloves.
And that is the end of the episode.
Yeah, there's a beautiful moment with both of them, though. Very
Yeah.
similar to the moment before. It's like these two men love each other, and that's just guys being dudes, which is great.
Yeah, because men can love each other in a platonic way, and it's very wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tyler, I want to apologize for being petty.
Why?
Okay. It's just you hadn't said anything, and I'm like, did I make her mad?
Oh, no, like, I didn't want to complicate the ending because there's a lot of things you have to get right, so that's why I stopped talking, because I didn't want to overtalk and get us out of order again.
Ah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So what do we think of the episode?
I guess I'll go. 2 for me.
Out of...
It may be because, like, a Christmas, like, or holiday episode, like, isn't where I am right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's before Halloween, even, stateside. And also, like, I don't know, like, I feel like we've seen this plot played out so many times that it's just kind of like, all right, like, it's fine, you know. It's something that I could potentially have on again, like, while I'm doing other things, but I wouldn't sit and rewatch this episode.
Yeah. I'm of kind of a similar mind, but I'd give it a 3. I think it's pretty well done for, you know, what it is. Like, the acting's good. It's well laid out. It's not, you know, it's not too convoluted, really. There's some really fun moments in it, but I agree, like, I'm getting a little tired of the mean old man who has money and people don't like him. Actually, the fact that it wasn't the motive for the murder ultimately did make it better. So maybe I'll give it a 3.5. But yeah, loved the moments with Poirot and Jap. Absolutely.
Yeah. I really enjoyed all of those moments as well, and it really warmed my heart. I laughed out loud several times during this episode. I want to say I was like, wouldn't it be cool if it was the superintendent? Like, once that character was introduced, I was like,
Yeah.
that'd be really cool and like kind of a subversion.
Right.
And I was like, he's probably an illegitimate son, blah, 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 blah. And I figured it out kind of like in midway through Act 1. But it wasn't like I figured it out. It was be like, oh, if I was writing this is what I would do. Because I think that'd be nice. And so that was really gratifying and really nice because it wasn't, you know, what traditionally happens. But the episode also casts enough doubt about that I wasn't sure, which was nice. But yeah, I would give it a 4.5. I would watch this again. I might watch it every Christmas. I love Christmas. I love all the interactions with Hercule and Jap. I like that Harry calls him Hercule and he's put off by this. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I liked all the supporting cast did a good, no complaints on the acting. Oh, and also all the characters more or less are likable and interesting and understandable. And I liked Pilar. I thought she was very fun as a character. And that twist was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it didn't feel too long. It wasn't like Death in the Clouds where you're like, wow, this is an hour and a half.
Right.
Whereas like for this, I was like, oh, this clips.
That's true.
So
That
I think
is
it's
true.
a good adaptation overall. 4.5 out of 5 because I don't know what could have been better about it, but I'm sure it could have been.
That tracks.
So on an average 3.
Yeah, something like that.
Perfectly serviceable episode.
Oh, yeah. Definitely on the side of recommend, I think.
Have we ever rated something from Poirot a 1?
I think so.
I'm sure I have.
Yeah, I know you have, but like unanimously. Have we ever been like, was Death in the Clouds like, because no one liked
We were all pretty down on that one. I don't know. I don't know if we've gotten an across the board one, but I think there may have been one. I don't remember which one though. All right. We've got a special treat for you next week though. Next week, we will be reading. See, we do read books. This one's a graphic novel, and it is Bury the Lead by Gabby Dunn, and that's Bury the Lede. And on Amazon, they have the summary as Cub reporter Madison Jackson is young, scrappy, and hungry to prove that she deserves her coveted college internship at the premier newspaper in town, the Boston Lead. So when the police scanner mentions a brutal murder tied to the prominent Boston Kennedys, Madison races to the crime scene looking for the scoop of the century. What she finds instead is the woman who will change her life forever, Dahlia Kennedy. Celebrity socialite, now widow, covered in gore, and the prime suspect of the murder of her husband and child. There's actually more to this summary, but I think that's good.
That's enough. That's enough to give you a little taste. Also, it's going to be deeply uncomfortable rating something in front of the person that wrote it.
Well, we can just...
Well, we'll wait for them to leave.
We'll record it after.
I mean, we do have to figure out how we're going to do that, but we can...
I'm not going to rate good or bad in front of the author.
No.
I think we can... yeah.
I figure we can be like, okay, why'd you make this choice?
Yeah, we can work out the details of that. But yeah, it'll be really fun having the author of the thing that we're reading on the show.
Yeah, Gabby's really fun also to talk to. She was on an episode of Positive Negative. You can listen to Positive Negative wherever you find podcasts are sold.
Hey.
But yeah, should be a really fun time. She's I was gonna say she's a great gal.
Okay.
She's just a super gal, just absolutely delightful.
Sounds good to me.
And with that, I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to a close.
Gavel sound.
Jingle bells, jingle
Jingle
bells,
bells,
jingle
jingle
all the way.
all the way.
Happy Halloween!